Well, hello, Chick Chat. We're back with Teen Mom episode 5. And before we actually dive into the episode, I do just want to make one comment. I did notice that we have a couple bold commenters in our comment section, and I just want to address the one comment that says that we talk too much. I just want to say we are a discussion channel. Our channel's name is Chick.
We're best friends.
Well, right, but we're a commentary channel. We're supposed to talk the whole time. I mean, we can sit in silence if you prefer, but that's just not how this channel works. It is called Chick Chat, so we will be chatting. We both talk a lot, and that's why we made a YouTube channel, is because we don't stop talking. So if you don't like our content, again, it's not going to offend us. There are a lot of other creators out there. But yeah, we're going to be talking.
If you want to run through our videos a little bit faster, you can always turn the speed on 1.25, 1.5. You can still understand what's going on. So you could do that if you'd like, or you can fast forward, or find somewhere else. But Ann and I have been friends for a decade, if not longer. And we've always been talking for hours and hours on the phone. And actually, we have a hard time keeping it down to the time that we have now. So
what you guys see is a very condensed version of our conversations, to be honest.
We've already been talking for almost 40 minutes.
Before we even start. If what you are looking for is not for people to talk a lot, I would recommend not watching recap videos, because that's pretty much what anybody who recaps these episodes is going to be doing, is talking. Our name is Chick Chat, not Chick Shh. So anyways, back to the episode. We're going to start with Leah Messer today. Since y'all want to mess with me. Her girls is going to homecoming this episode. Love that we're starting with this, but
we're starting off at the McDonald's.
With Corey, he's telling the girls is no getting close, no twerking, no nothing, because he knew what he was doing at Leah's junior prom.
Well, apparently he was creating the girls, but we'll get there.
I think he was older, wasn't he? So he didn't actually get to go to the prom. I think he picked her up before and after.
Maybe. So he's telling them this is not a nightclub. This is a school dance. And act appropriately, especially you, Aaliyah.
No, he said Allie, which cracked me up. So Leah talks about how she basically made these girls is after her junior prom, which her and Corey were only together a month when she got pregnant. So I believe that. I think she made them.
Yeah. He has a shirt with a collar on. It's possible he's going to a dance. There's other dancers.
But they're more dressed up.
That's a mom.
Corey.
Yeah.
Corey looks like he's going to work a shift at Aeropostale. I don't think he was going to the prom.
You're right. I'm glad that I looked back there, because he could just have shown up.
I don't know. It's a theory. Maybe you guys know. If you guys know how old Corey was, I don't really care to look it up right now. Anyways. So Leah is talking to her dad, and I died because her dad, when they were talking about the girls and being responsible enough to date and all these things, he's like, yeah. Funniest noise I've ever heard.
I called it earlier the agreeable cow. So if anyone wants to go back and listen, sounds like an agreeable cow, meh.
So basically, Leah's going to be hosting the after party in her basement, and he was just concerned about where the girls can go and play.
I'm concerned too, to be honest. I think that it's funny that he's called it a playpen or whatever he called it, but what's she doing with this hutch?
I don't know.
What has to happen to this hutch in order to have an after party for these girls?
I don't know.
There was an air hockey table. There was a couch, but what is going on? Why a hutch? Why is this hutch necessary? Why do you need to mess with the doors? Throw that thing in storage for the night and keep it moving. I just couldn't get it. Why is your dad here? Why are we doing this hutch? I didn't get it, but here we are.
He's asking Leah about, are the girls responsible enough to date? You can tell by looking at them sometimes if they're responsible and things like that. And I'm like, sir, where were you all this time?
I don't know why, but that rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe I'm weird or sensitive. And I'm not saying him specifically being weird, but I just feel like it's a bizarre idea to be an older man and be like, you can look at a young teenage girl and know when they're ready. Ready for what? And if you're talking about a boyfriend, like, we all know what comes along with relationships, romantic relationships as a human. So really you're talking about the other thing. And I just can't fathom an adult, anyone looking at a child and being like, they look ready and sound ready.
I mean, that's probably exactly why Leah ended up where she ended up, to be honest.
It's so bizarre. And that was the first thing Leah really said. She's like, I don't think any teenager is ready. I understand that they are going to do it. I did it. I'm not saying that that's a terrible thing to do, but I don't understand the idea of you can tell if they're ready or not. I guess you can tell if they're way too immature and you need to keep them home and locked up, I suppose.
I think he was really just trying to relate to her parenting wise, but I don't think he really has a lot of experience parenting her. It sounds like he was gone most of Leah's life. So I think he was trying to relate. and maybe he just said the wrong words. I think he's misguided, but I don't think he meant any harm. I just think
I want to be clear. I'm not accusing him of being weirdo or anything like that, but it just struck me so weird, those words. This whole thing struck me weird. The words, the setting, the hutch. I didn't like it. The rest of the scenes are fine though.
It was still nice to see him.
It was nice.
Yeah. Anyways, basically Leah's whole storyline all season is about not letting history repeat itself. And I think she's going to be successful at it because of how much she talks to these girls is about it and how much open communication that there is between them. I think that both of her girls will be fine. I think they will make it through high school at least without having any type of issue.
I also think that for Leah, this is really a milestone event in her own mind, that she can maybe stop projecting so much on her teenagers, because this is technically the event that she got pregnant. So she thinks that if they can get past this, then they've already broken a cycle and she should trust them more now, which is what she kind of figures out towards the end of the episode. But I don't know, it's cute. I know Leah's entire purpose in life, not just this season, has been leading up to this moment to make sure that her girls know how to be assertive and protect themselves and communicate and be good, trustworthy kids. And I think she's done a great job so far.
Yeah, I think the difference between her and her girls is that they had two good parents. And I know Leah's had her struggles with rugs and crap in the past, but she's pretty far past that. And she's really there for her kids. Although the whole time when she was throwing this little party, I just kept thinking about how much money she owes the IRS. But, that's neither here nor there.
That's true. Yeah.
Khloie is a really stable father figure, and Leah didn't have that so much growing up.
This reminded me so much of a bridal party.
I know, that's what I'm saying. When I'm looking at them all getting ready and everything, I'm like, damn, did Leah buy all these outfits? Because don't she owe the IRS?
And there's really at least a hair person and a makeup person there for at least 4 girls.
More, because Allie and her friend were getting ready upstairs.
They were doing their own makeup. She asked if she could get her makeup checked, but that she wanted to do her own.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were upstairs actually doing their own makeup because the other friend asked for eyelash glue. I don't know why I think all this is fake. I know some of it is happening. I mean, they're obviously going to homecoming and they're obviously getting ready in real life. So I'm so suspicious these days of production.
There was a lot of producer-driven scenes, I think, in this, but that's neither here nor there.
Khloe's whole birthday party.
Everything, a phone call, everything, but we'll get over there. But Allie actually did a really good job on her makeup if she did it herself.
She did, yeah.
That was great. I can't even do my makeup like that.
I know. That's why I took this picture. Okay, we have another red alert. Whose baby is this?
It's Victoria's baby. I just don't know why they have him.
Okay, I get it.
They said it was Leah's nephew, and I'm assuming it's one of Victoria's. But I'm just wondering where Victoria was at. Like, she just dropped her kid off, and
that's why I was confused, because that was my first thought. Obviously, I know Victoria just had twinses too, right? So I figured this was Victoria's baby, but usually Victoria films and I didn't see her. So that's what made me wonder too. And this baby seems to love Allie so much. I was like, maybe Allie already had a damn child and we just don't know it. Because, Leah would just be like, no, not happening, not filming.
Like she did with her miscarriage.
Exactly. Which I just rewatched the other day too on Pluto.
Yeah, no, they captioned him by saying it was Leah's nephew. So they
did give him a caption. Okay, I couldn't find it, but
yeah, they did. So that's definitely one of Victoria's. And
he's fresh.
He is fresh. I love seeing all these random babies. What baby is that?
A red alert.
So Corey actually does come over, and I thought this was so cool. I've never seen Corey in Leah's house ever. We always see this man on the side of the road, so it's so nice that she let him inside for once.
I loved this whole thing too. I thought it was really cute. And maybe we just didn't see the whole greeting process, but the little boyfriend came over and hugged Leah and said, "Hi, how are you?" And then just stood there and said, "Hey, Corey." No handshake, no hug, no nothing to her father.
He was nervous, I think. And I think he was also nervous to be on camera on top of it, honestly. Because imagine, he's probably only seen Corey like once or twice.
But this is his first time seeing Corey. I don't know. I assumed it was his first time seeing Leah, but then he dove into her arms, basically. So he must have met her before.
I'm sure. She's been seeing this little boyfriend for a while.
He's tall enough.
I don't know.
I'm surprised when she called for her to come down the stairs. She didn't say, "Your little boyfriend's here."
I would have. She had her whole, I don't even remember what movie I'm thinking of, but her whole moment walking down the stairs.
Yeah. I mean, all the movies, right? There's so many movies, I think, where the girl is just gorgeous and coming down for her date or whatever, and everyone's watching. I did not get a great picture of her coming down, but I thought that this one would do because they were all just in awe of her anyway.
And I love that they captioned Corey as Leah and Allie's dad. It's like, we know who this man is. Okay.
I know.
It used to be Leah's ex-husband, and now it's the girls' dad. So
that's what they should have it.
I'm glad that they're evolving with his little caption there. So they're on their way, and Leah's given the rules again. Like, you guys better keep 1.5 feet apart, 6 inches above the waist. I'm like, yeah,
you know, drugs, no alcohol.
You know, these kids lied about how close they was dancing and stuff. I mean, they're teenagers. I bet they had their little kiss there and everything.
They were getting as close as they could possibly get. The sure teachers were coming and shoving in between. I mean, that's what happens, right? Isn't that what they still do, probably?
Yeah, that made me chuckle when Leah was like, their first kiss ain't gonna happen at my house. It's like, girl, I'm sure it already happened. Like,
right.
In the hallway or something. I remember people always getting in trouble in the hallways for kissing.
Yeah, hiding in the locker. That's just what teenagers do. So Corey drove Allie.
Allie, yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to call Leah Gracie, and that's been helping. But gosh, she just named them so similar.
It's difficult. But I loved when he said to Allie, you look good. I love your dress. And Allie did so good. I loved her little barrettes and everything. Allie looked so good.
Yeah, she did that all on her own. She did that. Oh, geez.
She did that.
She did that as
Amanda. She was so cute. Her
friend looked good too. Shout out to her friend. Super cute. Got her little lashes in all on her own.
I love this.
Bow, 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 bow.
I love this. I almost think she looked the best. It was nice to see that they still did a little corsage thing. I was like, oh, that's cute. They still do corsages. And
Corey brought them those.
Probably. I remember every time that I went to a dance, I felt like I bought the corsage and the boutonniere, like my mom did. So I think maybe 1 year
I mean, usually they do come together if you want them to really match.
And then wait a minute, go back. Is the baby attending? The baby, is he attending?
Attending.
Is he attending the dance? Because he looks like he's Allie's date. He's matching her. I'm just realizing now it looks like he's going.
Maybe he's her date.
Oh, that'd be precious. I'm sure that he didn't go, but just imagine when he gets older, he's like, oh, I've already been to homecoming. I went when I was about 2.
That's so
my
cute,
cousin.
Yeah, so cute. This fond couple here, little boyfriend.
All their photos were precious. So it just makes me feel so old. I feel like we were all just going to prom and homecoming and stuff. And now to see these kids all doing it, it's just like, whoa.
I know. Well, and especially you and I are both thinking about starting a family soon. And it's crazy to think that we could already be done with
grandparents, basically.
It's just wild. It makes me feel old. And at the same time, we're still not too old.
She could technically have another kid if she wants to right now. But.
Absolutely. I mean, Cheyenne's been having kids for years. Kale's been having kids for years.
I don't know if Kale's the best example.
Still been having kids for damn years, okay?
But all the girls come back after the dance, and then I realized how many friends this girl really has. I was like, wow, she got a big friend group. But I love that Leah had that little after party. I think she is on point to have the kids at her house, because when I was younger, we went to someone else's house, and those parents did not care.
Yeah, we went to parents' houses who didn't care. She had said something to her friend earlier about wanting to show them that they can have a good time in a safe way and in a fun way. So I think that that's important. Obviously, sometimes they're going to make different choices if they want to and be a little more risky or do something different. But even to just show them that they can have a happy, fun memory when they're not drinking or partying is good. What's wrong?
Zoom to the girl in the back that's blurred. What is this woman?
So I saw her too. So my story in my head about her is that her parents would not let her film. So she had to stand in the back and she's pouting.
She's not happy.
No, she's pissed off, and I would be too. All my friends are here filming.
Did she sneak in?
I know they should. I was going to say they probably should have had her maybe just stand off to the side, but that's not.
She did. I think that's what she thought she was doing. But whatever.
We had Gracie right in front of her, so we had to have her in there.
All snuggled up on her mom.
Yeah. I thought that was cute too, actually.
That was precious. She snuggled up just like a little baby. Basically, all in all, it was a good homecoming. Leah, again, had another little talk with the girls about how she's not trying to repeat cycles. And she also was impressed that Allie used her wheelchair. And Allie's like, there was just nowhere to sit.
You know what? If those are the excuses she's going to use, that it's convenient sometimes because that's literally the purpose of it, then she's learning her past. She's learning how to use it.
I'm liking that she's just deciding on her own. That's what we were saying, is that it's pretty much going to come down to her sometimes.
Well, and she didn't plan to dance at all. From the beginning, when she was doing her makeup with her friends, she said she's not dancing. So if she's not dancing, she's going to want to go sit somewhere with her friends. And there's nowhere to sit. Now she's the coolest kid in the room with a chair.
I'm surprised there weren't bleachers or anything, but
yeah, I wonder if that's like a preventative thing. I know some things used to go down in the bleachers at the dances that I went to. You know,
possible. But anyways, moving on from Leah, we're going to get into Jade and Cheyenne because basically their storylines are together. I'm not even sure if Cheyenne actually has a storyline, but it's mainly Jade. They're all together. So together forever. So it's going to be Khloe's birthday. So Jade is planning a kitten party for her. And I love Sean's little, "Are you kidding me?"
I know. I thought that was very cute.
Khloe wants to invite Ryder and Big Gulp Christy. And Jade is excited to invite Ryder and Cheyenne, but not so much about Big Gulp Christy. Apparently, she hasn't spoken to her in about 4 months-ish, kind of similar to Miss Amber. And her mom wouldn't take a rug test, so that's why she hasn't spoken to her.
Yeah, which I don't blame her for that either. I know she's going to have some suspicions sometimes about her mom, and her dad doesn't seem to have a problem. But it's just sad to me. First of all, I'm happy to see Jade back. I was getting worried we weren't going to see her all season, so I'm glad she's back. I wonder if the only reason we're seeing her is because her mom is around, which to me, I think is a great thing. If Jade's life is so boring that we can't cover it, oh my gosh, I don't really know what else would be better for her.
That's a 180 for her from the previous season. So
yeah, and I think it also says a lot about how chaotic her mom still is. Yeah. And she proved all of that today. So Jade does go back and forth a little bit about her mom coming, but eventually she decides to invite the family.
Yes, and she calls up Cheyenne to invite her as well in a nice little producer phone call.
I know. What in the Kim Kardashian outfit is going on here?
Yeah. So Zach and Cheyenne are talking to her mom about going to Khloe's birthday, and her mom's going to now take Ace on his little modeling shoot. She's like, "I'll take my friend."
I know. I love how happy she was to take him in that scene. I just love Cheyenne's mom.
She probably had such a good time watching him run around a little set.
Totally. She said, "Send me everything I need where I got to go."
Both of her kids actually are doing pretty good in that game. It looks like she's usually posting all their modeling stuff, and she's got some damn cute kids, so I don't blame her for making a little bit of money back off of them.
Definitely. Put it all in a fund and have them pay for their own damn colleges.
Especially while Zach wasn't working. I mean, shit, someone's got to.
Exactly.
We go back over to Jade, and Cheyenne does show up with Zach and Ryder. Immediately, Ryder and Khloe were just like two little peas in a pod, and they were hilarious this episode.
They're so
Their little back and forth, like when they were doing the little video and Ryder's narrating it while Khloe doing the makeup.
I know. And then the boogers. I don't think Ryder wanted to have boogers on that baby, but she was very tolerant and nice with her friend. So I respected that. Thought that was good playing.
She did great narrating too. She didn't know what Khloe was about to do. And I thought it was hilarious and precious when Khloe looked at her in a little scene and was like, "I get to decide whose presents I open, and I'm going to pick yours."
I know. It's so cute. They have the best interactions. Honestly, I can't even imagine. Okay, so she's 7. So we'd have to watch this for 10 more years to see these two girls be this age that we're focusing on this season, the 16, 13. I guess we could maybe watch for 7-ish more years to get to 13. But
MTV will be here doing it. I'm pretty sure of it.
Honestly, there's nothing I look forward to more than seeing Holly, Khloe, Ryder, just little adults.
Yeah.
We feel old now. I'm going to feel like a damn grandma.
When these kids are going to homecoming. Yeah. MTV's probably gonna let Teen Mom go, and it's gonna be like their general hospital. They're just gonna let it go for decades and decades.
Right. I'm not involved in production, but I know that they made a lot of cuts and everything when it comes to who they're filming and how many producers they have out there filming so many stories. So I think maybe they did all that so that they could really keep it going as long as 7 people watch it. So.
Possible. What do you think when their kids start having kids, it's gonna turn into Teen Grandma?
They're gonna find some play on words for sure.
I like Teen Grandma.
It's gonna be its own spin-off show. But it can't be Teen Grandma. It's got to be like
I love Teen
OG Grandma.
Grandma OG.
Or like I don't know.
See, I don't think they can use OG anymore because Deb's OG kind of ruins it for me. I think that she now is the OG. Deb's OG.
Oh, right. Cheyenne's trying to figure out who's coming to the party, essentially. That's on the cast. And she asks how far away Amber lives. And she lives like 20 minutes away, but that Amber never does anything or leaves her house. So she never invites her anywhere to go do anything. But that she did, in fact, invite Gary over and invite Leah over. And then they do end up talking about how they feel about the whole missing situation, because these two haven't talked about that since that's happened. And I thought that it was interesting. I never really put it together, but so obvious that Jade probably does feel some type of way towards Amber, knowing that she has a mom that is so selfish, has been on drugs, has gone to jail. I mean, it's literally the same exact thing. And I did not realize how similar Leah is to Jade. It kind of blew my mind for a second, actually. So I don't blame Jade at all for not wanting to associate with Amber. I mean, I wouldn't have any time for it at all.
I just commend both Jade and Cheyenne for even talking about it, because Amber can go nuts on them at any second. Yeah. And someone on that show needs to actually talk about this, because I'm sick of Macy and Caitlyn gaslighting me all the time. Like, she's a good person, she just makes mistakes. No, you guys have just been around her so damn long that you don't want to rock the boat. Yeah. But Jade has no allegiance to her, neither does Cheyenne, and they're seeing things the way that we all see them, which is...
This is trash. And you know what? I think that they kept it cute. They didn't say anything out of pocket. They just made observations about what they're seeing and how that makes them feel. And they're valid to say all of that. Everything is on TV. They all agreed to have all of this be public information. So of course they can talk about that amongst each other. And I do think they kept it cute. They didn't do nothing crazy, but I'm glad.
I stand with
totally. Like you said, I'm glad that they said something about it, because something needs to be damn said by the cast. It really does.
The only other person I've seen kind of say something was Tyler last season a little bit. Some of the guys were more or less kind of hinting towards it, but they didn't outright say it. But I'm really glad that Jade said it, and I can tell that it's triggering for her to see the way that Amber treats Leah. Yeah. I think the difference between Jade's situation and Leah's is that she had both of her parents that were struggling, and she had to parent both of her parents. At least Leah had Gary and Christina. Right. But it's still a very similar situation with the moms is. So, yeah. And then Cho's in on it too. I like seeing her. Is it Cho or Chow or whatever?
I think it's Chow.
Okay.
But yeah, they did have this little lunch. It wasn't much, but whatever.
Yeah, they just basically re-talked about some of the same things. Cheyenne's talking about Ryder's health issues, and that she had a false positive, but I didn't see that line, girl, but
I think she pulled a Caitlyn. Remember when Caitlyn had that hallucination and she was driving all around the city taking pregnancy tests? I think she did one of those. But they've been talking about how at first Zach and Dawn, they've had a hard road to become adults, and these two women have been suffering alongside them for a while. So they were celebrating themselves on this lunch with each other, because both their manses are working. They supposedly own businesses, but I think they're both just on their way to that. Maybe Sean even more so. But good for them. How different. Even just I think this time last year, we were watching them on their little vacation, just struggling. Both these couples.
Yeah. It's good to see them come a little full circle here. So good for y'all.
Yes.
But so over to Khloe's party, which was a really cute party. Jade looked like a damn Stepford wife. She looked so gorgeous.
She did.
Look at her beautiful bun. She looked gorgeous. I always say how pretty Jade is. She is
stunning all the time.
Face card that's just to die for. She knows how to do her hair really well. She has her cosmetology license, so she knows what she's doing. And bam, she looked like a perfect Stepford wife.
She did. This like beautiful little blonde bees now.
And her dress even, like, she was just on point.
Yeah. She learned that somewhere, because it wasn't Chrissy. I mean, that woman shows up in the same damn sweatshirt every single time.
That's probably YouTube or something. Speaking of Chrissy, she was wearing the same damn shirt. I see her in every damn scene.
I know. That's what.
Buy this woman a few new shirts.
Jade has taken her shopping. Jade has done so much for her. Yes. That woman just went and sold those clothes. That's what she did every time Jade took her shopping. That's what drug addicts do.
Do you think she's still with the dad right now?
I think they're still married, obviously, but I'm getting the sense that they're separated right now, emotionally and physically. I think the dad's probably staying at Jade's most of the time, it sounds like, based on the conversation with Chow. And she keeps saying that he's a dumbass. And I know she's not saying that he's a dumbass for taking a drug test, even though that's what they want us to think. I think he's trying to tell Chow, like, he's a dumbass because he doesn't love me and blah, blah, blah. And we've been through so much and he doesn't understand. But really, he's just trying to get his daughter back and his grandkids back. He has his priorities straight and she doesn't. He's sober or not, she don't have her priorities straight.
He's pretty smart for being sober and taking those tests so he can see his kid. I mean, and like Chow said, when Christy was sober, she had no problem taking those tests. So why does she have a problem now? Chow went to bat for Jade right here.
I love Chow. She sat down. She said, "What's up? Tell me your side of the story. Where you been? How come we haven't seen you?"
Yeah, Chow lives there. We haven't seen you in a while, Christy. What's going on? Where you been?
Yeah, it was good.
I ain't trying to argue with you, Christy.
Yeah. And she called her out on her shit too. I mean, Christy's over here. She wants to say, oh, well, I pay my bills and I go to work and blah, blah, blah. And she says, good, that's great. That's not what I'm asking you. Where have you been? Why do you keep yourself away from here? And I don't understand why, if she is clean, she wouldn't just take a drug test. This whole, I'm not going to bow down to my child. I'm in a higher level than my child is, even though I've been a drug addict my whole life and allowed my child to pay for things for me, to do things for me, to house me, to feed me, to bring me to rehab and jail. I'm sorry, but you're not going to come back sober and be like, oh, I'm not going to listen to you now. for this one thing that they want to build trust.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's your child. They have their own boundaries and they have their own children. Same thing with Leah. Leah made boundaries with her dad. If he wasn't sober, she wasn't going to bring him around her kids.
Exactly. And you want to walk into my house, you're going to pee in a cup. I'm going to make sure you're sober, and then we're going to have a great time. That's it. I think that's fair for how Christy has been her whole life.
Yeah. But she, of course, comes in all sulky because she is nervous to be there. And I get her being nervous to be there. But I think she could have just took Jade to the side for a minute and been like, I know things are weird with us right now, but I do want to have a good time. I hope you're doing good. Hopefully we can talk later or something. But no, she talks to Cheyenne, and Cheyenne was fighting for her life in this conversation.
Praise Cheyenne. Cheyenne went all the way out here to Indiana to do some charity work for this family. She has been talking to Big Gulp Christy. She's talking to Jade. She's figuring things out. She came here out of the goodness of her heart. I don't care how much money they paid her.
She probably got a little bonus for all these questions she got to ask.
I would have asked for one. I would have said, Jade did not film with her crazy mother the entire time. It was actually me, so do I get half of Jade's portion?
I get that Jade was probably so busy running this party as well. I think that's also why we didn't get a scene with her and Leah, because I really want to see her talk to Leah. I love that we saw Cheyenne talk to Leah, but I think Jade would be such a good conversation with Leah. But I know for one, it could be a little triggering for Jade. It might bring up some things for her.
For both of them, it might be maybe in a year or two.
And I know Jade was probably spread really thin with this party. I mean, when you're hosting a party, you're everywhere, especially a children's party where you gotta watch children and then you have people coming in you gotta say hi to. You have food. You're telling everybody where the food is. You're orchestrating a whole party. And Sean is a lot more helpful than he used to be, but I did kind of chuckle when her grandma was talking to her and Sean's in the back like, who's uncomfortable? What the fuck do you think?
He's still a man, okay? I mean, sometimes they're just other places.
Who the hell, though, does he think is uncomfortable? But whatever.
I know. There's not one other soul invited to this party that is going to make it about them being uncomfortable and bring that to the mother of the birthday girl's attention, other than Big Gulp Christy.
We didn't invite Amber to this thing, so...
For a reason, because she would have done this.
Exactly. So after the party, everybody's changed and talking about the party and everything. They talk a lot about Amber again. Cheyenne's kind of reeling from her conversation, which we will get into in our next little segment with Leah. But she does make the connection of, I couldn't even imagine not being there for my kids. I'm kind of glad that Gary and Christina showed up, although at first I was like, well, this is a little awkward. I mean, they only really got one kid that's like semi near the right age group, but Emily looked like she was having a blast. She looked like she was building stuff, making little houses and things. And Leah was just kind of chilling with the adults. I think she knew she was going to get a little paycheck for coming.
Of course.
I was thinking, I hope that Amber doesn't make a dime off Leah being in the scenes, because I'm sick of funding her. I'm done with Amber in general after her little live, but we'll talk about that as well. So Jade is talking about her mom again. Chow relays the conversation back to Jade.
Spilled all the tea.
Of course, she needs to.
Yeah, that's what she sat down and had that conversation for.
Yeah, she had that conversation, so Jade didn't have to. Because if Jade had that conversation with Christy, it would have blown up.
Totally. Yeah.
You don't care about me. You don't check on me. You don't text me back or whatever. Yeah. She was trying.
And honestly, I give even more props to Chow, because I think somebody needed to listen to Big Gulp Christy, or she was going to brew herself into an explosion and really take over the party. So somebody needed to pull her aside once in a while and let her just kind of feel like she's heard and valued and welcome to the party. It's just, why on earth do we always have to baby these people? I understand where Jade is coming from completely, but also I do think it was right and important that Christy was there, unfortunately.
Yes. I think she needed to be there because Khloie asked for her to be there. So I think that was important. Just kind of like how we were saying with Nova and Butch, even if they're not in a good place, they still should know who their grandparents are. As long as Chrissy's not going in there and causing a scene during Khloe's birthday, I do think Khloie does deserve to have her grandma around her a little bit. And she probably misses her. That's probably why she brought her up. It's been a few months.
Yeah, I think it was good for both of them. I'm sure Khloie loved to see her grandma, and I'm sure Christy loved to see Khloie and be invited. I know she wanted to come up with this whole story in her head about how she wasn't included, nobody wanted her there, but she was invited and she did show up, and nobody said you have to leave or whatever. So I think it was good for everybody.
Yeah. It was good to also be in that public setting as well, because it gives Christy a little bit less of a chance, I think, of being dramatic with all those people around that she's not really used to being around. I think Christy, even though she kind of wants to blow up sometimes, it helps keep her in check to have a very public setting for her to be kind of trickling back in.
For a lot of people, it would be a guarantee almost to be in a public setting, not to act a fool. I think for Christy, it's not a guarantee, but it is a protective factor.
It's possible.
Yes, it does provide some small protection.
It's either going to help the situation or it's going to go really bad.
Or now we have an audience.
Tomato. Well, we'll go over to Teen Mom Gary's section because, Amber's probably faking a pregnancy anyways right now to not film. And Leah does talk with Cheyenne, as we mentioned earlier. And at first, they're just talking about her turning 16 and driving and all that. And then Leah does mention that kids at school know she's on TV, and they do talk about Amber. And Cheyenne sympathizes with her. Leah lets her know that she wants to be adopted by Christina. She's pretty open with it now. I mean, last season, it seemed like it was a little bit more hush-hush, but Leah don't care anymore. She doesn't care to have Amber around. She hasn't been around in a while. According to them, it's been at least months since Amber's spoken to Leah, even a text message, it seems.
They don't make this clear in the show so much, but I do think it deserves to be clear. Not that it makes any difference, but it does seem like the reason for not communicating right now is because that is what Leah has asked of Amber. I don't think that makes a difference, but I do think that should be clear. And they don't make that clear on the show. They're acting like Amber's just dropped off the face of the earth again because she's done that before. But I think it's important that Leah is empowered in that way to say, I have made a choice. And it should be out in the open that she's decided that. And honestly, that Amber has respected that in some kind of way. I know a lot of people are saying Amber needs to show up on their doorstep and but I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best option for her either. I don't think there's any good option here. Trauma has already been done. Feelings have already been hurt. I think time does heal things sometimes. And if Leah's going to therapy, she doesn't need her mom making her do anything, feel anything. She needs to take her own time. Leah's life has always been about, what is Amber doing? What is Amber feeling? Is she going to be involved? Blah, 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 blah. No, let's stop the bleeding. Let's do some healing. And then we can see if there's a space for a relationship. I really don't think Amber needs to be on their doorstep every day. I do think that she should be more involved and she should not victimize herself and she should take accountability. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I think it's important that it is said that the reason they're not speaking right now is because Leah asked that. And good for Leah. That's really healthy. And good for Gary. It had to have been very, very hard for him to set that boundary with Amber.
Yeah, we saw him for many years try to push them together. I think the only thing possibly Amber could do is maybe reach out once a month, like via text or something, be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm trying to check in. If you don't want to respond to me, that's fine. I understand where you're at right now. I just want you to know that I think about you and I love you or something like that.
Yeah, there has to be a pretty consistent, I'm open, I'm here, you haven't done anything wrong, that kind of thing. I know for a while that was going on. It also sounds like right now that's not going on.
Well, I think the way Amber was doing it before with hostage videos and things like that was a little much.
It's just right now, Amber's not responsible enough to have a relationship with Leah. Leah is trying to navigate her own healing. I don't think it's appropriate for them to have a relationship anymore. Leah wants to be adopted. She wants to move on. She wants to learn how to forgive her mom. None of that has to do with Amber. Amber doesn't have to be around for that.
I know. I love her little 2001 little things.
And the curls.
That was it reminds me when I was young when I used to wear my hair like that.
I know. And then she also mixed it in with the whole 90s side large sweatshirt bra showing blue bra, by the way, which is so 80s. Which
is so funny because Jade was wearing the same exact fit in that kitchen pretty much. She had the same thing on but a green bra.
You're right.
They are the same person. They really have been through the same things. Yeah, so after the party, we do see Leah talking with Gary and Christina on the couch about how the party went, her little talk with Cheyenne, and they talk about Christina adopting Leah. You could tell Leah wants it so bad. And Christina makes a very good point of what if something happens to you, Gary? Because at first he's like, it's going to hurt your mom's feelings. But then when Christina says that, he's like, I think I'm going to talk to a lawyer.
Yeah, right away. I mean, again, I know editing happens, but it seemed like pretty quickly it made him at least consider what the next step was, which is talk to a lawyer and see what the deal really is about that. And I think that that's an important point because not that wasn't valid all these other years, but Leah is at an important age. She almost has a license. She has a car. If something did happen to Gary and she needed to go live at Amber's house, she's going to become a homeless person, essentially. She's going to become a runaway. She's going to run away to Christina's house all the time. It's going to be like 2.0, but with a car and some resources. Yeah. She could be all the way down to Kentucky by the time.
She's going to be Gary again. Look what Gary 2.0 did to Amber.
You're right.
The same thing.
Right. She's going to go missing. So that's not necessary. I think
let's be real. Gary's one bad meal away sometimes from a heart attack, it looks like.
I worry about Gary's health, definitely. Although, like I've said a lot in these last couple of recaps, I have been watching old episodes on Pluto. And him and Christina, this season and last season have lost a ton of weight. So they're
did.
definitely doing something, and it seems like it's all coming off in a healthy way, like gradually over time. So I think they've changed a lot of their lifestyle as well, so that they're not just dieting and then gaining it back. They're really gradually slimming down. So
And I think they
yes,
grow a lot of their food as well. So that's probably
they do. They seem to live a really healthy lifestyle. I know a lot of times obesity and stuff can be genetic and things like that too. So people have to work a little bit harder than others to stay healthy. But yeah, I worry sometimes about Gary's health. He's always been a really heavy guy. He's probably actually in the best shape I've seen him in a long time, maybe ever right now.
But it's always a maybe with him. Like I really hope Gary makes it for the long run for real. But
yeah.
That Christina said, what happens if you're not here anymore? That's the only thing I worry about. Here's the thing. Yes, Amber would be heartbroken, but how many times has she broken Leah's heart? I don't think we should be worried about breaking Amber's heart. Amber is a ticking time bomb as it is. She's going to go off about any and everything. At this point, what else can she do?
Well, and the thing is let's take a page from Khloe Kardashian's book, maybe, and the most recent encounter with Lamar. Not doing something that is the truth. The truth right now is that Leah wants Christina to be her mom. That is the truth. It is going to break Amber's heart, but Amber's going to have to cope with that reality because that is the reality. The more that we drag on this, Leah doesn't want to talk to you, Leah's healing, whatever, then Amber's going to carry on this hope and just be more and more and more depressed and not be able to cope with the reality that her daughter does not want her in her life. Everybody in the effing world knows this except for Amber. And Leah is trying to do the work right now to be able to tell Amber that message to her face. So Amber needs to know this. It doesn't matter how much it's going to break her heart or hurt her. It's the truth, period. Everybody should know the truth no matter how hard it is. And then we deal with the truth and the emotions and we move forward.
Speaking of moving forward, Amber decided to go live a couple days ago. I know we don't have any photos of that, but if you guys want to see the live, I know LB shared it and she has like actual clip of the live. But this woman cannot see past her own glasses. She does seem a little bit off in her lives. Like people are commenting on her pupils. I do think that that's related to whatever medication she's on. I do,
Agreed.
but I wouldn't be shocked either way, I guess. But she was on her live and people kept coming at her about Leah. And she made the comment that Leah isn't traumatized by her. She's been through a lot worse than Leah. And Miss Brooke, I need to know what you think about this statement. Amber's taken psychology classes, so she knows all about this. Let me ask someone with a master's degree here. Do you think Leah could be traumatized by Amber?
I don't even know why this is a question. I mean, I know why you're asking me this. I do, because of the point that she made in the stupid live. But here's the thing. Trauma is something that is somebody's experience. For example, two people can have their house bulldozed by a tornado, and one person can be highly traumatized, and the other person can walk away and not ever worry about tornadoes or fear them again. Trauma has to do with somebody's experience. And that's why the overarching trauma-informed approach is that we never, and I mean never with all capitals, say to somebody who is saying that they feel that they have been traumatized in some way, shape, or form, or are showing signs of trauma, like worrying about people's attachments leaving them. We never say, you are not traumatized, that's wrong, your feelings are wrong, what you've gone through is wrong. That's not the way that it works. So
imagine if Amber's own parents did that to her. I'm sure they've been through worse than her.
It's insane. And that I hate that approach, that idea. I know people even personally that have that approach, that I have been through hard things and thus I don't have empathy or I have no capacity to empathize for anyone who's been through anything less than me. And I think that that's a really sad approach to life, especially if you've been through a lot of hard things, because who better than to relate and talk? It's not like anyone is trying to claim the spotlight. There is no spotlight on how hard of a life everyone has had. We've all lived the hardest things that we have all been through is the same for all of us.
It's like, what is this, a competition for you, girl? Like,
especially with her daughter. Yeah. What's wrong with Amber is she can't take accountability. So she has to do all these mental gymnastics in order to make it feel like she doesn't need to take accountability. So her daughter's not traumatized. She's been through so much worse. And so it's impossible that she's traumatized her daughter. She's done her daughter favors, in fact, because of X, Y, and Z and the resources, maybe. She's going to turn everything ass backwards in order to make it make sense because she will never take accountability. But long answer short, yes. Leah is traumatized because Leah has said herself now at this point and is in therapy and is displaying signs that she has issues with attachment and abandonment. And that makes sense. She did not make that up out of thin air. Her life story seems to support why she would feel that way. And that makes sense. So no, Amber, I don't care what kind of effing degree you have. I don't care if you had a PhD.
She didn't get a degree. She took like a class.
I know, but
I took a class, so I know everything. Okay, let's stop normalizing that. I don't think unless you have like maybe a doctorate, a master's, that you're really an expert. I mean, I've taken psychology classes. I did social work internships and things, and then I realized social workers don't get paid enough for what they do, and I wanted to make a little bit more money. So I changed my career path, but I would never sit up here and say, well, I know about this because I took some classes. No, I don't.
You think it can say you have an education or a background, or I've researched this, or I have studied this, but to say that you're an expert or that somebody else is wrong because of that. I have a master's degree in psychology. If someone came and told me something about psychology, unless it was really wacko like Amber, I would not be like, oh, you're completely wrong. Like, it's kind of part of academia. It's kind of part of learning more, and especially in psychology, it's all theory. I have a master's degree in art, which my husband, who's a nurse, makes fun of me all the time because he has a bachelor's in science because he deals with medical stuff. But psychology is not medical. It's a whole bunch of theories, which are tested. I mean, theories have gone through, hypothesis testing and all kinds of research and stuff like that. But these are theories applied to the human brain, and the human brain reacts to every single situation differently with different people. So it really is an art to figure out what theories you apply to what problems and how that solves that.
Yeah, I'm not saying you could draw a picture or anything. I'd love to see you try.
No way. That would be Tyler could draw a picture of a brain, not me. I'm not a scientist. I'm an artist.
An artist who can't draw.
An artist of thoughts.
Yeah, the number we'll sit here and she just did say on her live was that, well, Leah said on TV she doesn't even remember it. Well, for one, girl, are you actually watching Teen Mom or not? Because you say you don't watch this show. And two, because she doesn't remember it, these clips are coming back to haunt her and you, or should be haunting you, honestly. She can still see that. And even so, when you don't form that attachment when you're little like that, it's going to traumatize you, right? I mean, I would assume it would at least affect your development in some way, that you have a hard time forming attachments maybe with other people.
And everything affects everybody a little bit differently, but especially when we're talking about development and infants and things like that. I mean, this stuff is pretty solid scientific evidence that if the mom is away for a certain period of time, especially during critical periods of development, there can be real cognitive effects, like effects to your actual brain and the chemistry and the way that it works.
I saw her put this kid in cribs while she was crying and just leave her there to take a nap and things like that. So that has to have some kind of effect, even if Leah doesn't exactly remember it. It must have some kind of attachment effect. I've seen studies done on attachment and things like that, especially with infants and young kids and stuff like that.
Well, and the thing is too, is we're talking about trauma in a big umbrella, but really what Leah has mostly been exposed to is a lot of dysfunctional family patterns, which are in themselves traumatizing. They're kind of constant traumas, right? Especially if you think about having Amber as a mom. You're being exposed to constant traumas, not just my mom left and now that hurts and I have abandonment issues. Her mom left and then she came back and then she was a drug addict and then she's had all these men and she's done so many things, right? So this is actually what is called complex trauma. It's attachment trauma, and that actually is not in the technical big book of diagnosis yet, because we're all debating in the psychology community if that's different or not, but that's for a nerdier conversation another day. But no, Leah has trauma. She's labeled it herself as trauma. Attachment trauma is trauma. It's one of the hardest traumas actually to treat, to deal with, to manage, to navigate. It affects the rest of your life. It affects all of your relationships. And Leah's already noticing that. She's not just saying, I get worried that Christina's going to leave me, which is valid. She said, I get worried that anybody would leave me. And think about what that does to a young girl.
Especially in relationships as well.
That's what I'm saying. To be in some form of desperation for attachment and validation. I mean, thank God that Gary and Christina are such supportive and loving and present parents, because Leah could really be in a bad position.
Well, Amber loves to spin it as, well, Leah doesn't remember it, and we only argued like that for a couple years and stuff. And I don't think it's just about you and Gary arguing, which either way, those few years is when she was developing as a human.
When I think about Leah, I don't even want to bring it up, but I know she's seen it. That video that's out there where Gary's yelling at Amber about that guy not changing her diaper, and she said it's okay if he changes her diaper. Even if she doesn't remember it, just the fact that that was talked about and that was you and your body. And imagine sitting there with that question. I don't even want to say it out loud right now. So how could Leah ever try to find some clarity about that question? It's disgusting that her mom would put her in that position.
Yep. And the clip we're talking about, Gary comes to pick up Leah, and her boyfriend had to leave at that moment because Gary didn't want to see him. And when he saw Leah, he's like, why is she wearing dirty clothes and stuff? When Amber's like, oh, I didn't change her. I didn't put her clothes on. She's kind of kikiing about it. And Gary's like, Amber, who changed her? And he got serious. And even when I was young watching that scene, I was cheering Gary on. I was like, yes, say something,
Right.
because
We all knew that was wrong.
it was wrong. And Amber's like, please don't be mad at me. The first things out of her mouth. I'm like, if you're going to start that off, then you know it's wrong.
Yeah.
To have a man changing your daughter, her clothes, her diaper, I don't care. And then Gary's like, well, she better not be changing her diapers. And Amber's kind of like trying to get around it. And he's like, Amber, has he changed her diapers? And she said yes. And he flipped. He's like, you're never seeing her again. And I wish he would have just took that moment. But I think he was careful, and he knew he had to be careful with her. It all worked out for the best. But yeah, you saw Gary's Papa Bear come out at that point, and I was so happy to see it. I think that was a big turning point with Gary. I think he realized she is reckless, and I think that's part of why he ended up getting back together with her as well so many times, because if he wasn't with her, then she was going to be with some man, letting him do God knows what. Because that's what gets your child into a situation that will ruin the rest of their life.
Right. That's when neglect turns into abuse. I mean, neglect in itself is already abusive from a parent, but when you are so neglectful that you allow your child to be abused by somebody else, that is a whole other situation in itself. I feel like Amber is lucky that all of this stuff aired back in, 2015, when for some reason people were not feeling the same way about protecting children.
Social media wasn't as relevant.
But I can't imagine. We have to all know that Leah has seen that video, and the questions that she must have, like, it makes me feel sick, and it's not even me in my life. So to try to say that this child isn't traumatized in some fashion is trash, and it speaks on Amber's inability to take any kind of accountability for what she's done in her life. It's just ridiculous. It's just poor human behavior.
I want MTV to stop funding this woman. I'm sick of her just sitting on her couch, invalidating everybody. She knows everything, even though all she does is sleep most of the day and go on lives with random people and cutting them off. Like, she was on this live with this random lady, and the lady was trying to like talk to her about how she related to her story. And every time the woman spoke, Amber would be like, oh yeah, me, yeah. Like, just cutting her off. It was so strange. I'm like, Amber, go to, like, I don't want to say go to bed, but Amber, get a job. Go out there, get yourself an actual job, because the show has to stop paying you at some point. You're sitting here in one breath being like, well, my whole life is documented, so everything I say is the truth. But in the same breath, you're faking pregnancy tests to get out of freaking filming. So what? I'm sick of her. I need her off. I don't mind if we want to continue with Gary and all that, but I don't want to fund Amber anymore.
Let's not label Gary's scenes as Amber anymore either. It really pissed me off today that we did not see a shred of Amber's face, thankfully. But every time we saw Gary's house, they label it Amber as if we're going into her scenes, and then it says Gary's house. Let's just cut Amber. Nobody wants to see her.
It makes me wonder if she's getting paid for those, honestly.
Me too. That's exactly what I was wondering as well. If Gary films, does Amber get paid as if she has filmed? And I feel like probably yes.
Especially if Leah films, I think, because technically I think they both still have custody. So you would think they would split maybe that filming money, and I don't think she deserves it. The girl ain't filming at all herself. And let's talk about how Leah can be traumatized. Although this woman got abandoned by Gary 2.0 and wanted to be so traumatized by, I'm so traumatized by this man leaving me. You don't think your daughter was traumatized by you leaving her multiple times?
Yeah, over and over again. I mean, she's still doing that, right? It's so dumb.
I guess she's got a host of mental illnesses, but
Leah has compassion for that. Every single time that Leah brings up the pain that she feels that her mom is responsible for, Leah also holds in the same breath, I know that my mom struggles. I know that there are things that prevent her from doing the things she says she wants to do. She is always compassionate towards her mom. But it's about time that Leah's emotions are validated too. And Amber has got to go somewhere else. She's got to just bite her tongue. She needs to figure out a different way, because she has an entire platform. For the last decade, we have been listening to her story. It's time for us to hear Leah's story. We're done with Amber. She's had so long to get better, to do better. She even did better for a little bit, but she's proven time and time again that she's more and more focused on men and love and romance. And I understand that everybody wants to be loved at the end of the day, but I think somebody said, Cheyenne or Tao or Jade, that your kids are never going to leave you if you're a good mom.
There's supposed to be no greater love than the love.
That's what she was talking about when she was faking that damn pregnancy, is how amazing it is when Bubba says mama, like how Leah used to be like that, and now I ruined it all. That is your fault.
Isn't that child like 8 now too? Like, what? Why is he going around saying mama? I feel like Amber is able to tell us whatever she wants about that relationship because Andrew doesn't film. So, I mean, I'm sure Amber does go over there once in a blue moon and is like the fun parent or whatever, and does, what did she say in her live, piggy face or whatever she was saying. But this child is like got to be 7 or something by now. He probably also has his own traumas, and she'll also invalidate him in a few years when he expresses that. But it's not going to be as similar to Leah's, because I also do think the fact that Leah's a girl does make it a little bit different. I don't know. I think maybe he would learn more from his dad anyways. He needs Amber. I think all children need their mother, but I think maybe for Leah it was a little bit different. And especially because she went through quite a bit more. I know James went through a lot when Amber had that whole machete thing, which I think we should have stopped filming her at that point. I've seen people be dropped for less, and I don't know why we're still filming this woman other than to have controversy. And I'm sick of her getting paid for it, to be honest. She's one of the few people on this show that I'm like, you know what? I know all these girls have made a lot of money, and I think it is a little bit unrealistic at this point to relate to a lot of them like we used to be able to before. But Amber doesn't even deserve it. She gets to sit in her house in the dark all day and get paid for it.
I know.
Who else? Almost everybody else on TV at least has to make an appearance.
That's why I loved when Jade called it out too. She's like, Amber doesn't go anywhere or do anything, so I don't invite her anywhere. Honestly, what a moment to make a bag, right? To walk in, the spotlight's going to be on Christy, the spotlight's going to be on Khloe's birthday party. Just walk in, make your bag, make an appearance at this birthday party. I bet you if Amber showed up to anything, she would have invited her. It's basically an all-cast party.
Yeah, I praise Cheyenne and Jade for openly talking about it, and Brianna, because there was a point where Brianna tweeted about this stuff.
I saw that too, yeah. I think it's about time that people make their opinions known. I guess I can appreciate that Kate and Macy are in a little bit of a different position. They're close friends with her. They act like, at least.
But what benefit does Amber bring to their friendships?
None, of course. But I don't think every person who is psychotic and struggling needs to be cut off by every single person in their life because they're making bad decisions either.
I get it, but they didn't like Farrah anymore, and Farrah is basically another Amber to me.
Yeah, but Farrah was always shit. She couldn't even carry a conversation when she was good. Farrah was her own feral thing.
Someone in Amber's live told her that she makes Farrah look like a saint.
I saw that. I
laughed.
I
was like, I don't know about that, but she does make an impact, that's for sure. But anyways, what's going to be happening next time? We get Brianna crying about getting her tubes tied, and I'm like, "What are you seeing, girl? Or do you even have a relationship right now? What's going on?"
That's why maybe you're right. The tubes tied sounds way more of a reasonable explanation. Benny's gonna take his driver's test with his new truck. Ashley's apparently having a lot of anxiety about her living situation. Understandable. Her husband, ex-husband, whatever, broke into her house and tried to kidnap her. So I would have anxiety about that too. I know right now she's on like a sabbatical or something. I don't think that's what it's called, but she's on like a break from school because of her mental health or a personal circumstance. And it sounds like she's going to have to start school back up or she's going to lose her position or probably one of her programs that she's in. So she seems a little worried about that. And Mackenzie's A1C is finally at 6.5 after forever. So they're going to try to make a baby. And I hope we get a pregnancy announcement really, really soon from them.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping they're saving it for the season or something.
Right. Yeah. I hope she's like 6 months pregnant right now.
Love it for her. Yeah. But well, thank you for joining us, Chick Chat. We know it's another long one. If you actually enjoy us talking, unlike some people, you can definitely subscribe. Remember to like and share.
Comment. And don't forget to hit that share button and click the copy link. And you can share that with all your friends if you'd like, or you can just be done with it. Go on to the next video for Chick Chat. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, Rihanna, and
yeah.